game. We'll see what mix-ups there are, because the Varus was the first pick. The Misfortune was kind of the counter pick that went out. But there's also a Kai'Sa ban from 100 Thieves, which meant they couldn't pick Kai'Sa themselves into it and have something that scales for late game.
Varus getting locked out of this game. Will not be in the hands of Doublelift to kind of wreak havoc on the laning phase as we continue to see Akali in that first phase of bans.
And I wonder if it just becomes Varus, Rakan, and Kindred for 100 Thieves here and locks down their bans.
Yeah, could be Braum first pick then for TL if they want to go that route. GP off the table here for TL again. I think it makes a lot of sense. We saw that even if someday is able to have an edge in a tank versus tank matchup, it's not going to be the deciding factor, very likely. The Mundo really was not able to kind of take over that game, despite the fact that someday had a pretty strong showing.
Yeah, and now this is interesting. I feel like you might not ban either Olaf or Braum and try to get the other one of the two and just leave them both up, because if you ban Braum, they'll take Olaf. You ban Olaf, they take Braum. Feels like you go for some other trade here. All right, seems like they just banned the Olaf out. It's an interesting Kindred ban from TL saying, we're going to get whatever we want first pick that's left up when there's kind of 3 OPs. Just get the one.
Yeah, and it may just be the fact that they're kind of more worried about specific power picks on the side of 100 Thieves rather than, you know, the cohesion of the composition.
Yeah.
If somebody gets a Gangplank, he can maybe take over. If Enda gets that Kindred again, he can maybe take over.
Yeah, and interesting to the Rise pivot here. I started to think like maybe Kai'Sa Braum or something like that, which is potential for 100 Thieves to pick here.
Yeah, I feel like the Cassio answer still is strong. Ryu had a good time in lane. They were able to get the early kill onto Impact. The rest of the team was, you know, more behind. It was kind of hard for them to team fight, but I definitely think that, you know, they have an answer to this Rise. That being said, Pobelter can still get up to the side lanes, can still look to 1-3-1 and really kind of have that impact.
Slow picks here for 100 Thieves as they let the clock run down onto going from the Skarner back to something that brings a bit more potential in that early game, and he might lock in the Lee Sin, already hovering the Graves as well, and we just see damage on the mind of 100 Thieves for their jungler.
This is potentially the last champion you will lock in playoffs here for your team.
Rotation back to Sejuani.
That's why you go with safety here, but for Team Liquid, Trundle becomes the obvious pick. Shut down the Sejuani and keep her under wraps.
I think that's going to feel really good here for TL. The fact that Endo is really kind of the guy dictating the pace of the game in games number 1 and 2. It feels like he has to have that level of effectiveness for 100 Thieves to really get a win. And, you know, getting Smithy priority in that jungle, getting Smithy a pick that's going to be extremely strong in the team fights against the Sejuani is going to feel really, really good for them.
And I wonder if they go for something like a Kai'Sa here, because 100 Thieves can't counterpick the Rise if you go ahead and you pick another very potent champion for a top lane or even for your AD, right? So if you pick Kai'Sa here, or let's just say you pick a Gnar or something, they could pick Cassio or they pick a counter here, because one of your lanes will get banned out afterwards. So I feel like you potentially go for something. I wouldn't actually want them to really match roles, but I guess they're going to do it because they say the Thresh was such a problem for 100 Thieves to deal with that you try to go for that counter matchup. You know, thinking there, that actually makes a lot of sense to pick it and make sure it doesn't get banned out.
It is very interesting, though, to see, oh, Thresh is what we need to get when there's a Braum and a Sejuani sitting on the other side as the first 2 picks. I do find that surprising. Malzahar, another really good answer to Rise, relatively short range. And it is pretty easy to lock down with that ultimate.
And you know, something like that Thresh pick could be the voice of Doublelift saying, I love the way that played in lane, it's what I wanted, let's do it again.
Yeah, and it can let him play pretty much anything. One of the things that I've noticed over kind of the years is that there's less and less move blocks or movement abilities on marksman champions. It used to be 3 years ago, 4 years ago, Graves, Lucian, Corki, Tristana, Ezreal, literally the 5 biggest champions in that role all had ways to move and avoid ganks. Now you have something that can enable. Yeah, they're all very low mobility for this role. There are a few that stand out that are like meta and they can actually get away, but having the Thresh opens up your options.
We may get, you know, deeper into that pool, though, as Varus is gone, Jhin is gone. We could see a couple more marksman bans thrown out, and then people maybe have to dig a little bit deeper and bring out something different. We have seen Doublelift bring out the Tristana in the last couple of weeks, and, you know, that was in a loss to TSM, but the pick individually did look strong.
Kara's Ezreal is also quite nice in that sense, but will take a bit of time to charge up against whatever he may put into his hands against Doublelift. 7 seconds here, final phase 2 ban for 100 Thieves before TL gets theirs, and we're back to picks. It's going to be Ornn from 100 Thieves.
Yeah, I just really like the style that TL is kind of taking in the pick ban here. You know, just banning out all these power picks, things that can be huge difference makers against 100 Thieves makes a lot of sense. You're taking away Camille and GP for someday to try to have this carry performance that we were talking about. You already took away the Kindred and the Akali, who can be difference makers. Now the Gnar off the table, so it's really a lot harder for somebody to find that big counter in lane.
And another thing that you want to do when you pick Trundle is try to force the enemy top laner to play a tank. If he goes Cho'Gath or anything like that, you're like, oh, extra stats for me, thank you very much. So you kind of ban out the champions that you would want to go to as a counter, and he's still going to go Cho'Gath here, which helps the Trundle in those fights.
Definitely does. Sejuani was already an option there, so it's, you know, it's interesting because there already was kind of that tank for Trundle to grab. I'm a little bit surprised to see the last pick is actually for Rikara. So to me, that says that they have something that they are kind of conditionally planning. Maybe it is a Draven, maybe it is something a little bit crazier, maybe a Kog'Maw or a Jinx or whatever. You've got to have some sort of conditional plan that's going to be different here for Rikara, or it doesn't make any sense to leave his pick for last.
But I absolutely love the Ashe pick here, because that's going to mean, hey, Doublelift doesn't have to play aggressive. He can just enable his jungler to figure out what side of the map Anda's on, and then play off of that. And if they pick the Shen here for the top lane, that just puts more pressure. There's so many globals here, or semi-globals from Team Liquid. They can focus the bottom lane, or the bottom lane can go elsewhere.
It is a relatively kind of lower damage composition, though. You know, on the side of TL, at least for killing frontline, the Trundle is going to help you out a lot, but you know, Ryze is traditionally not the best at doing that, and I'm just so interested to see what Rikara is going to bring out. It's got to be something that they are going to play heavily around, because they have triple tanks, a lot of frontline.
But Shen is quite good against the Cho'Gath during the early levels especially. He does a lot of percent HP damage. He'll make it so that he gets a Titanic Hydra potentially in the future and clears waves. But this is a 1-3-1 composition from Team Liquid with pretty much the best AD carry that you could have for it in terms of just scouting, because getting all this vision down without Tracker's Knife and all of that in the later parts of the game, the Hawk Shot helps immensely.
Global pressure as well from TL with movement from Ryze's Realm Warp and Stand United from Shen. Can Rikara be protected this game? Surrounded by tanks. Ryu as well back on that Malzahar to make plays work. He was able to shut down Pobelter a little bit, but this is a different matchup. It's not against the Zillion this time.
I do have a lot of concern for 100 Thieves in the laning phase, though. You know, when I'm looking at this Kai'Sa Braum, that is not the pick that really inspires confidence when they've been losing all these 2v2 lanes. Ashe and Thresh are both stronger laners individually than the Braum and the Kai'Sa. And you're looking at this and expecting TL to slam that bottom lane. And if that happens, 100 Thieves maybe never get to have those late game team fights. That being said, though, if they can put it even or ahead on that bottom side, I think it's going to be hard for TL to actually get access to the Kai'Sa in the late game fights, and they can take over.
And that's my worry, though, is TL don't have to take late game fights. They have a 1-3-1. They have it where one of your side laners can actually just TP over to the other. You have an Asher coming in. You can create almost 3-on-1s in an instant with this composition and play to your sides.
Team Liquid looking to secure that world's run position and find themselves on the final stage in Oakland with a win here over 100 Thieves. But can 100 Thieves keep that dream alive and be the one that pushes forward to that final stage and world's securing spot?
Will it go 5 games? Was Kobe right all along?
We will see. And we are on to the Rift for game number 4. A lot of people coming in today said the 3-0 for Team Liquid, but 100 Thieves has already been able to stick their foot in the door on that. Can they do it again and bring us to that game 5 you were just talking about, Cyrene?
And they've been making them fight for it. I mean, game number 1 went the way of 100 Thieves. Game number 2 was hotly contested. Game number 3 really the only kind of one-sided one in the series so far. We'll see if TL is going to be able to have another dominant one and close it out.
I feel like it might be a little bit slower here for TL during the early parts of the game, because Smithy, it'll be hard for him to actually get some ganks off, potentially bottom side, but I'm looking at it's a double cleanse for Rikara and Aphromoo on the bottom side. There's a lot of cleanses. I feel like I just keep seeing more and more and more as the years go on.
I do agree. I do think there's opportunities on the bottom side, though, to try, you know, and maybe even around the mid lane where Ryu does not have a cleanse. You know, if you can actually knock off the passive, hit a root, pillar him in after that, can be very hard for that Malzahar to actually escape the rundown.
And I want to talk about something as a Sejuani player. I love ganking Malzahar lanes. Level 6 happens, he just ulties, you ulti afterwards. Easiest kill of your life, but hold on, one more auto.
Charming him up, gets that gem locked down on concussive blows. Love that Braum skin as they come in. So a little bit of damage onto Ole, but he's not too bad. Did have to use a potion.
Yeah, not the end of the world, but getting a potion out is pretty nice, especially since in a recent patch, you know, the increase on cost for the support items means you only have 2 potions to start. So getting that first one out is going to be nice in what is going to be a very tough lane, honestly, here, 400 Thieves.
Yep, and you see they're already giving up pressure there and just kind of, ooh, nice backstep there. Afromu, it feels like it's that support day where you're like, everything isn't hitting. It's like, just barely.
Well, you got to think, how long has Doublelift played with Afromu? One step forward, and you know exactly what the other guy's doing from playing so long together.
Got to give it to Alistar in that first game, though. With
Oh,
combo.
yeah.
That certainly hit.
That was the MVP of Spring Split showing up there. But since then, it's like, wasn't hitting Pobelter, wasn't hitting Doublelift. It's like his old teammates were like, man, Zach, it's been years.
Zach,
we
it's been
know.
years.
We know.
On that first name basis, of course. As it happens, Irene, Impact putting the damage down onto Someday, and we see the same thing onto Ryu in mid. Just the first back and forth. He should be able to heal up quite nicely and stay to fight.
It'll be interesting to see how these guys are building up on the top side as well. Definitely think that Shen can have some early pressure onto Cho'Gath, but it kind of gets to the stage where if you're not rushing for a Tiamat, the Cho'Gath is going to have a lot more pressure. And they do spot that they're on the blue buff, but it looks like they're just going to concede it. And it should be a 3-buff start here for Smithy, which is going to feel really good.
Yeah, this I believe is actually courtesy of Doublelift getting Hawkshot at level 2 and then sending it out across the map. So he was able to actually spot that he was on the complete opposite side, that none of his bottom side jungle had actually been taken.
It's nice for a Trundle as well. Frozen Domain to move around so quick means you can get in and out without any trouble. However,
he taunted
Impact might have a bit of trouble here. His escape is a flash, and Arctic Assault is going to connect, sweeping him almost off his feet. Spirit's Refuge is behind, so he takes full damage. And there's the final hit from Someday.
As soon as Impact taunts in, you knew they had him there, and 100 Thieves willing to commit to it. They're going to get the kill and push in the wave.
Yeah, and he had been bullying him for the entire early game. The Shen matchup is quite favorable against the Cho'Gath, but then right here, gets the Q pass through, says, I really want to use these attacks. It's another, waits for the cooldown to happen again.
Don't you love seeing that as a jungler?
Oh, yeah.
Use your gap closer.
Oh, yeah. LeBlancs, when they W4 to clear the wave, Fizzes using E's, stuff like that. You wait for that ability.
Yeah, and as the top laner, you hate to see that.
It's like, he's there, right there. Come on, right there.
Seriously? I've waited this whole time.
time.
It is. It's that mind game. And now Impact will reconsider in those moments. He even had the ward down there for himself to kind of go crazy. And now his teleport's used back to lane, also matched by Someday, so those guys are on an island for a bit unless they get a little more jungler intervention. And now Pobelter teleports back to lane. Same match by Ryu. Looks our first buys are done. Tears and a few just mana and boots actually for Ryu.
Yeah, and it's like same match in terms of teleporting back to lane. Different inventories for sure.
Very much
where he gets that ever important tier on the rise very early on.
Yeah, missing the tier on the first buy for Malzahar is actually pretty rough because generally, once you get to that tier, you feel like, okay, I no longer have mana problems. He may be deciding to go for Ludens instead and just kind of going towards the Lost Chapter, and we'll see if that is the option instead.
Except I believe it was Ludens into
Rylai's is really common.
Rylai's afterwards, yeah.
Looking at the bot lane matchup, already 5 minutes in, much more even than game 1. CS stopped at 40 as we have a bit of a mismatch back here. Ooh, just short, good look.
And then the
hot shot comes through.
It's like, they were in there, Ole.
Just tempting Fade a bit, looking for a hook. Probably not a follow-up, but they would have stopped the backs. It's all about the small mind games to start and get those little advantages before trying too much. Another little advantage in the top side, but this time for Team Liquid, the first blood being paid back to Someday, and it looks like Smithy gets that in the last swing of the club.
Yeah, and you saw Ando was actually on the top side doing his Krugs, so he would have been able to be there a little bit sooner if he had actually cycled his jungle faster. So it's just that Someday felt a little too comfortable without having flash up.
It is, right? It's the other side of that coin. It's like, oh, I got the kill, now I feel good. False sense of security. Here comes my jungler.
Yep, and Smithy has the Scuttle Crab, so he actually races into vision with faster movement speed than normal. And that's what allows him to close that gap. Make it so that Someday, Eats the pillar. After the taunt.
Yeah, no, nice hook. Cleanse is out, and he's not even going in. It's tough because if you don't cleanse early, he can take that, and then you're flayed in, and the cleanse isn't really going to get you much. So may look a little bit silly, but still, you kind of have to respect that, especially when there's a pink ward in that brush. You may not really know if someone else is coming.
And there's a big difference between a Thresh throwing hooks and a Thresh then hitting them. Because a Thresh hook down can mean I'm initiating, right? But they're respecting each one now. Even if he misses it, they're not engaging. So they are very worried about getting hit by something else.
And you have to play with so much respect now. Shen 6,
exactly.
Stand United can join in. Even if your jungler shows up, you probably lose that 3v3 unless somebody can stop the Stand United from coming down. So you really have to be careful now.
And I think that gives the signal over to Doublelift that Anda's not on the bottom side of the map, and you saw that his camps are down, and it'll give you the respawn timer. You'll see it on the mini-map when they come up. So knows that he's on the top side, because if he's in bottom, he's got to be somewhere else. And so they get to push this wave out and slowly push it up and maybe call Trundle in the future.
And Trundle not down there just yet, but they are clearing towards bottom side. Anda is heading down there as well. It's interesting that Impact did go straight for that, the Visage, rather the Cowl instead of going for a Tiamat. He may just go back into the Tiamat now, and he is going to be pretty hard to actually take down by any combination of Sejuani, Malzahar, and Cho'Gath with that early magic resist. Not going to be able to burst him down even with some of the physical damage there on the Sejuani.
Anda.
The blue invade.
Yeah, not liking that his blue is being taken, but he can't do much. The wave's being cleared here on the bot by Rikara. They're not coming in to help, and they don't have eyes on Pobelter just yet. Ryu says he's filtered in. We need to be careful. How long is this going to take, though? Glacial Prison misses, but they still have Ole in their eyes for the first takedown. Shen comes in with Stand United as you have Pobelter on the outside, taking quite a bit of damage from that hit from Ryu. Pobelter goes down. Coming in last in the fight as they lose Rikara on the side of 100 Thieves, but TL looking good. Afromu almost going down, a cleanse to get the safety, but Doublelift strikes true with one more arrow from his quiver, picking up another kill.
Nicely done there from Doublelift, grabbing an extra kill, and despite the fact that Someday did stop the Stand United, that shield alone bought enough time for them to really gain the advantage in the team fight, because that low HP Stand United means the shield is going to be that much bigger onto Ole.
And there's just a lot in that fight to pick apart here. Starts off with Rikara still being level 5, so no level 6 to reposition. Ultimate from Anda doesn't hit Ole, so he's not stunned up and can still flay at the start. And then Rikara dies before hitting level 6, right as that happens. So not able to shield, not able to survive longer. And it really is just all over the place there. And that's off the pressure that TL had from bottom lane. Higher level, they get to control the minion wave, and they get to control the collapse.
A lot better when it's 5s and 6s, too. If Afromu had 6 there, that was a Glacial Fissure right up the choke point. It would have been a much different story. So Team Liquid acting quickly before these breakpoints for 100 Thieves are coming around.
And that's, playing around power spikes, playing around those level 6s, their experience breakpoints is very, very intelligent stuff. And we do have level 6 now on Rikara, now on Afromu, but the question becomes, can you then try to even make a play when you are now behind?
Yeah, it becomes difficult. The damage is there for BF Sword, but do they want to stay in the fight long enough to find out if they can win it now? 3-3, even on that kill score, but there's been a bit of a mismatch in the lanes here. 93-74, 103-80 between Pobelter and Ryu is giving TL that gold lead.
Yep, and another hook.
What I mean, the ones that hit, they're not even taking, but they're still playing in the mind of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, Anda, now that they have their own control ward, slides right in the bush. He has ultimate.
Glacial Prison is there. Flash is not, so the Arctic Assault has to hit after for the follow-up CC. And then we're looking for the Glacial Fissure from Afromu.
The wave is pushing.
Patient.
The wave is pushing 100 Thieves. So if TL steps forward, but you can see Ole is actually suspecting this. Ole is behind Doublelift, and
leaving the Lantern in.
Exactly.
Area for that.
Even if you hit that Glacial Prison, you're probably not killing Doublelift before the Lantern can actually get him out to safety, especially when Doublelift has that cleanse. So would put in a pretty tough kill to actually go for it. End up just being kind of a bit of a time sink there. In this game, you see Smithy is actually significantly ahead in the farm over Anda, and he is the one that is really pressuring and shutting down the options here for 100 Thieves.
Yeah, and another option shut down. I talked about how absolutely love going mid as Sejuani when you have a Malzahar. There's a QSS already for Pobelter. He went tier, went for another crystal, and then he's like, all right, well, full QSS, let's go.
Come on down.
Yeah, picks that one up, and that actually stunts kind of one of the easy ways into the game. But hold on, bottom lane. Hey, return to the scene of the crime. You got spotted before. Afromu's going in.
He's trying to get that shield speed on. A few hits, concussive blows. Glacial Fisher comes out. They're going to lock him up. Whoa, Afromu. Or, I'm sorry, Ole getting chilled out as Afromu comes in with the play. They kind of back off, saying, we have the kill. Who's going to take it? Now they'll get the Acathian Ranger. No way! Oh, the Malefic Visions comes down, and they get the Comet kill coming in from Ryu. But that, a little too much hesitation from 100 Thieves.
They get the kill, but that is 4-man bot and their mid laner's TP to kill off that support. So pretty good job delaying there from TL, but at least Malzahar picks it up, and they can look to pressure this turret. They should try to force down a first turret here on the bottom side.
Yeah, definitely, but you can see the collapse. Pobelter's on his way. You also have, that's very important that Impact did that, because Someday has teleport. Impact does not have a way to join them. So if a fight broke out, you want to keep pressure on Someday. You want to be able to taunt him under turret, so he's proxying the wave and making sure that Someday doesn't have an opportunity to TP.
Pressure on bottom is relieved. It looked like 100 Thieves was trying to skirt off to the side in River, where they had the majority of vision and re-engage a fight. Pobelter still pushing in mid as Ryu had the lead for that instance. 2 summoners up to Ryu's no summoners, so we might see a little bit of an engage there in a few minutes. Pobelter returns. You said we have that Quicksilver Sash, and he continues to stack up his tier. He's currently 336 out of 750. As Smithy comes in to help knock down the turret with Frozen Domain down.
Oh, Impact's on the side, though.
Oh,
3 members.
Man, channeling that could stop that from Ryu. It's going to be Impact right through the turret. Ryu's going down in this instance. A few more hits from Pobelter, and actually it's going to be Impact picking up that kill. Quickly skirting around the permafrost. Someday to silence, but no Rupture to follow, so they can hit up the fight.
That kill so big there for them to get it. The Triumph Heal, it looked like, came through onto Smithy, keeping him alive, and that was really close to him going down.
That's why Subjugate is so damn strong versus Sejuani. See, goes in, gets the suppression on him, and then Smithy's like, all right, let's just throw down the ultimate. I think it might even just be on Ryu there.
Yeah, I think it actually was on Ryu, which gives him the extra damage, but definitely makes him a lot less tanky. And you know, Triumph Heal either way is going to be able to help keep him alive. They get the kill, they get out. That mid lane turret is incredibly low, and Impact has gone back for the Tiamat, and he's going to be continuing the pressure here on the top side. And when you have the push as Shen, it gives you so much more ability to actually access your stand united and get out on the map without losing a lot.
Yeah, and just confirming, it was onto Ryu there. It wasn't onto Anda, because he doesn't have Aftershock. So felt like the pass was already down. It was going to be basically the same amount of stats that you get. But he still got a ton of HP back there and was tanking the turret for so long.
Kind of just the anticipation of this guy's got to die. Click. Go, go, go.
And he also now has a stopwatch. So next dive that he's doing would have that behind it. And that is the first turret going down in this matchup that they picked this Rise first pick, and then they had the counter of the Malzahar here from 100 Thieves. But it's still something that is being shut down by the QSS and just the amount of pressure. And Pobelter is winning that lane hard.
It hasn't been about the Dragons. It hasn't been about the Rift Herald. It's been about 100 Thieves blue buff right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, are they dedicated on the side of Team Liquid to grabbing that.
And honestly, the jungle and lane pressure. Look at bottom lane CS. Look at mid lane CS, both over 30 up. And then Smithy is way up too. You have the winning lanes, then you invade together with your jungler. You extend that gold advantage. They have even kills, up 1 turret, but they're almost 3K ahead.
Yeah, it's that cascading effect, right? Your bottom lane is winning. You can push in for the blue, take that away or go for fights. Hey, that's not going over to the enemy mid laner, and you have a Shen that can help out and assist.
A little bit of a smite fight. Arrow comes through. Afromu not feeling too good on the front line. Flash. Glacial Fisher backwards as Pobelter again. Always on these flanks with Rise, and Ryu has his number. Quick hits over the wall, but nothing follows in from Team Liquid. And looks like that dragon is picked up by 100 Thieves.
Yeah, exactly. 100 Thieves, they needed that right now because that's going to be worth a lot of gold in the future. It'll help them kind of stabilize a little bit, but they're still going to lose some objectives here over time because of just the lane advantages that have occurred from Team Liquid.
They're going to be fairly happy with that overall, though. You get the stand united, you lose no one, you get that Infernal, so You have to go late in this one, definitely with that Kai'Sa, and they are very far behind, as we kind of expected, not only from the players, but also from the champion picks in the bot lane. It was always going to be tough, and they've dug themselves a hole. We'll see now if they can stabilize and kind of slowly claw their way out, because if you could ever get to that late game, even state 5v5, I really like 100 Thieves comp.
Definitely do a lot of work around the objectives. Do they have the mind to keep Rikara strong? They have a little bit more damage on Ryu as well, but those damage sources have to stay alive for them.
Yeah, they have to stay alive, and they can't be picked apart or baited into bad fights later, because there's so many globals and semi-globals on TL's comp that if you go for a pick with the Malzahar ulti or the Sejuani ulti, there's always going to be people to reinforce unless you're doing it constantly and getting that Shen stand united, the teleports, the Ash arrows. There's a lot to consider in these fights for 100 Thieves.
Looking at some core items. Blade of the Rune King finished up for double lift, sitting on just 300 gold, 700 for Rikara on top of that Stormrazor, so he could hit a quicker clip of damage. Quick pillar puts Aphromoo and Rikara in a bad spot. Unbreakable's up, so he's going to be able to deny a good bit of damage, but you don't want your tankiest, one of your tankiest members to start that way. Rift Herald getting in on this fight as it's now a 4v5. Ryu
Watch Ole.
looking for a way in. He has his ult. Ole for a hook over the wall and possible lantern into another fight as Impact is taunting on the top side of the map, continuing to clear, but also ready to participate in anything that happens.
And you can see the pings
Glacial, but Blizzard just missing.
They were actually sending Doublelift to the mid lane. I don't know if they're going to chase this. They are.
Oh, Belter! Right into the wall, thinks he can fake the team out. You're not Messiah, buddy. And he is going to go down 36 seconds on the death timer. And Impact now could get hit up. 100 Thieves gaining a lot of ground.
Yeah, that was really questionable there for Pobelter. TL may still be able to defend this, but Doublelift is not even there. You went straight into the middle of the 100 Thieves squad. All they had to really do was buy time for Doublelift to push in the other lane. Didn't need to chase for that kill.
Yeah. And they needed that because their lanes have been suffering all series long. Doublelift has just been getting a winning bottom lane every single time in matchups that you aren't really supposed to be winning all the time.
I wonder if we see that everyone kind of tried to skirt out of that at the last second, and he got his foot caught.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of, he walked back directly into it,
yeah.
So that was intentional, but I don't see what you think you're going to accomplish there.
He closed the gap too fast for everyone else that was running up.
It's 3 tanks and a Ryze, and the Ryze is the one initiating with, your marksman not there. Maybe if Doublelift is there to follow up, then sure, that could work. Either way, it is a kill. It is the turret 400 Thieves. They will trade back with the Rift Herald, and
Look at
TL
that.
still ahead.
31 CSD at 15 minutes in this series.
That's
for Doublelift.
disgusting.
That is actually disgusting.
Nerf Doublelift.
I was sitting there going, I wonder what it looks like. And man, 31 is actually pretty unheard of. And at 15 minutes as well, it means that every minute he's just getting 2 more CS in the wave. That means like over the course of one wave, he's missing a CS every wave compared to Doublelift. And then just that many, 31 of those will happen in the 15-minute mark. That's crazy to think.
Arrow onto Sunday. Quick
that
reaction
pillar.
from 100 Thieves. And they cannot get out from the short side of the turret. Nicely done by Xmitty there to follow up with a bit of damage in the team.
Yeah, Smithy kind of locked him in against the wall there with the pillar, and it was nice. A Braum shield from Aphromoo to stop a lot of that damage, but another charge gets kind of knocked down there as they walk in the Rift Herald, getting even more chip damage out. And definitely has been a dominant series from Doublelift, has really looked good in the laning phase. And 100 Thieves, though, they're in a position that they are familiar with. They are behind, but they are with a very strong late game comp, looking to kind of slow down that pace. And we'll see if it does get to that stage, can 100 Thieves make the moves they need? Because the next target here for TL in the next few minutes is going to be the Baron, and they're going to be establishing vision control around that. And it's going to be up to 100 Thieves to contest that and not get picked while doing it.
And you always have to consider, though, there's that Cho'Gath ultimate. The Cho'Gath ultimate is something that...
No.
50-50s, I don't like them. But against the Cho'Gath, I hate having to go against the Cho'Gath because you have to kill him to feel safe enough to do the Baron. But then he has things like Warmogs in his build, so you really don't have to just chunk him out. You have to just straight up kill him to make sure that he's not going to
He'll
contest
come
him.
back a few seconds later if you don't finish the job.
Comes back stronger. It's one of those guys you let go.
Who makes that impact? Should be coming from the other side at this point, respectively. 4,000 gold lead in favor of Team Liquid here. 30 seconds on the cloud. Drake, a quick hook onto Aphromoo to say, hey, we're still here. And we are jockeying for vision on the top side of the map around Baron.
Ole has been very good with these hooks, constantly hitting them, even when they're just onto the tanks. You know, always threatening that engage, always, you know, kind of keeping that pressure up. Has shown a fairly impressive Thresh performance.
It's funny. It's kind of as funny as I said earlier. When you're hitting him and you're not hitting him, the ones he's missing aren't considered by 100 Thieves as a chance to go in, because he's just been playing it so well, and somebody else is already ready to activate. And any mistakes, which doesn't even really make it look that bad from Team Liquid. 22 minutes on the clock here. It looks like they get an uncontested Cloud Drake. Move back to safety on their side of the map. No forward vision yet coming in, so both teams are pretty tempered on what plays they're making here.
Yep, but Baron is live. There's also an Infernal Drake that's going to be the next one in 6 minutes here. And so there's going to be action, of course, before the 28-minute mark.
Yeah, we'll have to see, though, how TL wants to kind of go about this. They seem to be very comfortable sitting 1-3-1. Shen and Rise out to the side lanes. You have Trundle, Thresh, and this Ashe as a fairly safe 3-man squad around that mid lane. And you can either try to look to collapse to a side lane, as it seems they're doing right now on the top side.
Yep, this is the pivot that you go for. We talked about it as soon as Champion Select was over. 1-3-1 for TL. They don't want to group up here. They want to just pivot and have people jump into fights that are supposed to be mano-a-mano.
Thinking of that call on the bot side too, when Impact says he can't see someday, and vice versa for those teleports coming in. They can stop each other's teleports as well, so the 4v4 may occur here on the top side without your top laners. Double lift in the team now onto Baron, but they are not spotted on the cut.
I don't think that spotted them because they were hugging the right side of the wall.
Gonna get a quick plasma in. Ricard now and
too late.
The team have an idea, but it is gonna be way too late. 23 minutes in, 100 Thieves allow TL to get Baron.
That ward almost gave them a false sense of security, it felt like, because they thought, I think, that they were going to see people entering the pit, and just by hugging that right side, intentional or not, I'm not sure, TL does avoid it and are going to be able to get an easy Baron. That was really the key for them to extend this lead and close out this series, and 100 Thieves just gave it to him, no problem.
Yeah, ward placed down by Aframu. Not spotted out there, but at the same time, it didn't do anything to help them. That's one of those ones. I definitely think and agree with you that it was a false sense of security, but that right there, that oversight is something that potentially gets Team Liquid to Worlds.
It really is. It's not something we would have seen from 100 Thieves in Game 1. Everybody was playing at that top caliber. Mental is wearing away now, and we're seeing kind of the wait, what moments? As TL's able to keep things uncontested here, now contesting a fight in the mid lane, but I think 100 Thieves may have the upper hand. Aframu too low, too quick, and TL has the fight they want. A realm warp in from Pobelter to lock down Someday. He's in the front, he's going down. Ryu can't even enter from the sideline. It's Anda is just absorbing as much as he can, but to what cost? Mid's gonna fall, and Team Liquid are on a rampage down mid lane.
Oh, almost got him.
So close to going down. Ricard forced back with 100 HP after flashes are even used when we thought the fight had stopped, and Baron has just given TL that surge to keep going.
And they're gonna push for this inhibitor here. There's no cleanse, no flash on Ricard. If he steps up, they could commit onto him. Flash is available for most of them at the end, double it.
Hook, there it is.
In. Ole wanted it all the way, but the silence keeps him out from any more abilities. Is Killer Instinct there for Ricard? It is down, so he cannot follow the plasma hit in. And now it's about wave cleanup, pushing in 100 Thieves so they can't even see the other side of the map, even if TL has to back.
Yeah, we talked about 1-3-1 for Team Liquid. Exactly what they want to do. Fantastic when you have Baron. It's pretty much the best format for a composition to use Baron. And now we have a 9,000 gold lead. This feels like the largest lead that we've had in this series at the 25-minute mark so far. This is Team Liquid saying, yep, we're going to go ahead and take that little oversight. We're going to do the Baron quickly, and we're going to go and defend our title.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, getting the Baron is the key to victory here. They already had a gold lead, they had an edge, but the Baron gives them access to the base. And here's the fight one more time. Ole again finds the hook. This time they commit for it, and everyone collapses in from TL.
Yep, that was Someday throwing down a Q that forced the flash, but then right there, that was so fast from Pobelter in terms of getting his QSS off. It looked like he almost, I can't even tell if that was a Captain Jack or not, because I heard the Sejuani ultimate go off. I didn't see it, though.
And then this almost getting Ricard. That could have potentially meant finishing the game if that marksman goes down. Instead, 100 Thieves is still alive, but barely hanging on. Down 9K, mid lane inhibitor is exposed, and TL are just looking to extend this gold lead further and further and further.
TL putting out their own welcome mats here in each lane. Feeling like they are more welcome than 100 Thieves wants. And only a bit of damage on the turret here. One more wave will probably mean it goes down. They have the cannon in the back. And you see a quick swoop back as the lantern is out for a little bit of damage. Hooks are what is deterring 100 Thieves from really going in here. They don't even want to throw the Glacial Prison out until they can choke 100 Thieves onto that doorstep at the front base.
Yeah, like Ryu doesn't have mana to actually go for an all-in here or a fight. And there's a minute on that Infernal Drake. Time to reset for Team Liquid. Place whatever remaining wards you have and get some more vision.
And you want to say the way for 100 Thieves to win a fight is, oh, catch double lift. Well, he has Cleanse and QSS now, as well as a Thresh behind him, as well as Stand United to back him up, you know? And that makes it so ridiculously hard, because even if he does miss position, he has 2 CC breaks there in addition to that Lantern, and it's going to be so hard to ever take him down, and he kind of is at that point of luxury where he doesn't necessarily need the QSS, but he can go back for it because he has so much more gold.
Yeah, it's like Redemption will come down. And even if you don't go after Double Lift, you go after somebody like Cobalt, it's like, well, he has more defenses, he's got an Archangel staff. So it's pretty much, Double Lift would be kind of, quote unquote, maybe the easiest person to catch, but he's still incredibly hard to catch him.
Still at the level of hard.
Yes.
Difficult stuff. Double.
Oh
my god, but they go for Ryu. The no-look hook after the pillar from the left side. Aframu goes down first. Ryu is going down immediately after. There's 3. Team Liquid are heading down the mid lane as Pobelter does the round warp again. And they find themselves goal side of 100 Thieves and their own base nexus. A possible triple here for Pobelter, but the kill goes over to Double Lift and Team Liquid. 1 inhibitor in their face as they look to take down the Nexus and take down 100 Thieves.
You can hear the chants of the fans. They know it's over. TL have done it.
They are pushing themselves forward to protect their reign over the LCS. They'll get the chance. Team Liquid will find themselves on the final stage in Oakland.
And Team Liquid will also go to Worlds. It's a chance for Double Lift, and especially Olay, after what happened at the Mid-Season Invitational, kind of right those wrongs, stand up on that international stage and say, Team Liquid is a team that should be representing North America. Now back-to-back finals after last year and changing up the roster completely. TL Org is definitely proud.
World's on the horizon, but the finals are first, and they're going to be looking to repeat here. Liquid looking to continue their reign of terror here in the NALCS.
Absolutely.
So dominant throughout this series. The first game strong from 100 Thieves, but it just seemed to get better and better and better for TL throughout the series. So much credit to this team. No panic after the first game loss. They stuck with what worked, and Double Lift really shining here again for Team Liquid. Double Lift and Olay completely dominant over Rakara and Aframu in that bottom lane.
You can hear the fans exuberant over the victory here. The fact that TL gets to move on, and Liquid itself, an organization around the board in many titles, finding victories lately, and you have to think that gives confidence to every team they have in that organization being winners, and they show it here again.
And you can see Steve up on stage saying, no, we did it, because you think back, Team Liquid, they were a team that was near 10th place a year ago, 7th place, not making playoffs for a while. And it was something where he said, I'm coming back in, I'm going to focus on this team, rebuild the roster, and they have done fantastically.
And they're going to be playing against a team in the finals that was 10th. This split, Cloud9, NTL, going to be that finals matchup for Oakland. We know it's going to be TSM 100 Thieves playing for 3rd place. And next weekend, there's going to be so much on the line. It's going to be so exciting.
Yeah, 100 Thieves. You walk away from this, you go, yes, Team Liquid won. But where was Cody's son? There's a lot of questions that the fans are going to have about this one, where Rakara was playing all 4 games. They apparently didn't have even the ability to sub him in because they said Cody's son may not even be here in the studio, and it's been pretty radio silent from them. So a lot of questions, but 100 Thieves going into the 3rd, 4th place match, going into that, you want a little bit more in terms of what the expectations are for this team.
And, they become now the biggest fans of Team Liquid. If
Yeah,
Team Liquid
true.
wins the championship, they auto-qualify into Worlds, second
That's
in
very
championship points, which is, so strong for them. So there's lots of avenues for TL to make the World, so they're already in. There's lots of avenues for 100 Thieves as well.
I cannot wait for the action to follow. For more on how Team Liquid will be defending their title in Oakland, I'm handing it off to Avli for an interview with the victorious bot lane and jungler.
Thanks, guys. Double up, Smithy. Congratulations! Not only are you guys moving on to summer finals, but you've qualified for Worlds. Double up, what are you feeling right now?
I'm like a little shell-shocked. I feel like, yeah, every time I play playoffs, it's like, oh, it's another one. But like, it still feels like my first time, so I'm really excited.
You guys are going back-to-back championships now. Smithy, what was that winning moment like for you?
It's just another going to Worlds, I guess. I'm kidding. I was really happy. I was happy for Steve. It's Steve's first time going to Worlds, so hopefully we made him proud.
Is he in the crowd right now? Is he jumping up and down, or do we have emotional Steve tears coming out? But I mean, this game was essentially a rematch of the spring finals, but it seemed like there was an overwhelming amount of community consensus that you guys were just going to take this series. So what was having that support like?
I actually hate being the one that's predicted to win. I'm actually more comfortable being the underdog, and so I was so nervous that, the team with something to prove, it's scary. And then for us, it's not as like this redemption story or like this revenge story from last finals. It's kind of just like the status quo. So it was really worried. I stayed up really late last night, thinking about what picks I was going to do and what I was going to play, how I was going to play. So I was nervous.
And Kane said that this was this week you guys put in a lot of extra hours and a lot of extra effort and practice. So what was that like for you?
Yeah, since it's a best of 5, is the first time for us. Is it in for this split? So how many hours did we do in draft? I think we took like 3 to 4 hours just to figure out what's the best draft for us and then what's the best side. And yeah, it showed that we prepared really well.
And then last split's finals against the 100 Thieves, you guys 3-0'd it, and it was the fastest finals that we've ever had. So how are you guys going to top that performance against Cloud9 in Oakland?
I guess we'll just get 3-0'd way faster. No,
That confidence.
I don't know. Cloud9's really hard. They're a lot harder to play against than 100 Thieves, that's for sure.
What makes them so difficult?
They have the Swole Bros.
The Swole Bros. Smithy, can you take on the Swole Bros, or what are you looking at them for?
Hopefully, I think me and Gina are pretty swole.
I don't know where to go with this, but you guys did qualify for Worlds with that, and we've had the NA meme of going to Worlds, but what's Team Liquid going to do differently now that this is the first time that the team is qualifying?
I guess just play without any regrets and without any trepidation for what might happen, and hopefully we played a little, I'd say scared and a little hesitant on stage today. So I think maybe in the finals we can just really go ham.
Anything to add?
I think what Peter said. I think we had a pretty embarrassing show at MSI, so hopefully we're gonna try to redeem that. So.
Well, wishing you the best of luck. Congratulations again on the win. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you, Avali. Game 1, they get knocked down, but then they string 3 wins back to back to back in order to qualify not only for the finals to defend their title in the Oracle Arena, but also a qualification to Worlds for Team Liquid.
I mean, it's the Swole meta. Whoever's Swoller is going to go on.
We heard it straight from Smithy, right?
Yeah, that's why C9 made it, now TL as well. But it was a good series for them. The fact that it was not just this complete dominant 3-0. You saw that they had to adapt and figure out how to deal with some of the things that 100 Thieves did do pretty well in Game 1.
Yeah, and I think they're going to need some of those learnings when they go up against a squad like C9, who has demonstrated multiple ways of attacking other teams.
Exactly. I'm expecting a very good best of 5 in the final. I thought coming into the playoffs that the number 1 and 2 seeds were a step above the rest of the league. And C9 got pushed to 5 games, and TL did lose that first one. So the semifinals was actually a little closer than I expected, but I still think we have the 2 most deserving teams in the final.
I love it. Well, let's take a look at this Game 4 before we break it down, the remainder of the series that we have ahead of us. I mean, the way they did it this time around, it did definitely feel like Team Liquid got cleaner as the series went on. It had that kind of a learning curve around how to play around this version of 100 Thieves.
Yeah, every game was actually faster than the last when you're looking at the Team Liquid 3 wins in a row at the end of the series. It didn't start perfect. Impact did die to the first gank, but the nice thing was that Someday used his flash as well. So if Someday's ever trying to push that aggression, you can go back and he ended up dying to a gank. But then when the team fights started to go through, Doublelift getting a few kills here and there really started to snowball.
I mean, you talk about how each game went faster and faster. All I see is Someday playing less and less carry champions. It goes from a GP to a Gnar to a Mundo to a Cho'Gath. And, you know, I just don't think that's their winning formula against TL specifically.
Completely agree.
And you saw over the course of this game, their superior team fighting come in, as well as their better playmaking, I think is the thing. Is Ole had a really nice series himself, oftentimes setting up a lot of the plays that you see, both this game and the last game on Thresh.
Midway through the split, I was going to say, we were starting to ask the question, where did the Thresh pick go just in general within the meta? And here it's pulled out in the semifinals to much success across 2 different games. So that's nice to see, but yeah, ultimately the front-to-back style of team fighting that Team Liquid excels at is what ultimately won them the game.
Yeah, people are gonna ask a lot, and I think I'd like to see an explanation of 100 Thieves, like Riccara all 4 games when we haven't seen him the entire ITT of 2018, right? And just in Academy. So especially when you look at how the laning phases went in every single game with Doublelift, beating him a lot worse than he would be up on Cody's son. So I think that was a decent sized chunk of the series here. But as Mark said, like if 100 Thieves was going to win, I thought they were going to win through Someday. And they didn't even pick towards that as the series progressed.
Yeah, I think the Riccara one is an interesting point. We saw for one weekend, randomly in Academy, Cody's son playing down in there. So there was an opportunity that this was something that has been thought about and discussed more than what we saw today. But the fact that there hadn't been any stage experience with that experience. Like, I'm sure they played this roster before, you know, so.
But we can't forget that this 100 Thieves squad will be playing in the 3-4 matchup, and so they do only have a week now to determine how exactly they plan to move forward with that situation in the bot lane. We'll leave that to them to decide and then inform us. But I am intrigued whether or not they're going to take this learning, you know, and maybe go the way that you're suggesting, Mark, of saying, hey, if you're not really finding much of a difference between the 2 different laners in the bot lane, then put the focus, continue to index into the top lane, and actually change your style.
Well, it also depends who you're playing against. Like, I think Doublelift is a very lane-dominant player who's going to cancel out a lot of your strengths. You know, against TSM in the 3rd, 4th place match, I actually am not super opposed to that strategy. Sven is not a lane-dominant player. You can scale to late game against him, and then you can probably play front-to-back or 1-3-1 team comps that you like doing against that team that looked very uncoordinated with using their globals in TSM.
Yeah, I mean, remember, with the win, TL is going to be going to Worlds, but if TL wins the split, 100 Thieves is also going to Worlds.
Right.
So
they are now TL's biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, they love TL now. Doublelift, great guy. Like, everything about him, that's TL's stance.
Well, speaking of
they
which,
need to figure it out.
Doublelift, he's going to receive Player of the Series this time around. Fantastic carry play on those ADCs across the board. Team really indexing into his power and letting him pull them across the finish line.
Yeah, you heard him talking about at the top of the day how much his teammates give up to empower him, and he wants to kind of show that gratitude by carrying them and showing that their investment is well placed. He absolutely did that this series.
They even let him hit blast cones and then just laugh about it.
Sacrifice his teammates.
That was so funny that you killed me there.
You're so funny. What a good troll.
Yeah.
Anyway, he did great.
No, he did. Anyway, yeah, he's a good ADC.
I mean, he didn't die in the 3 wins.
Wow.
Wow.
That is impressive.
15, 0, and 18.
Monstrous CS differences, and a lot of those came after laning phase, to be fair, where it was a conscious choice by 100 Thieves to kind of sack Ricara's CS, but it still was pretty massive before then, too.
They're really insane numbers.
Yeah, that's a player of the series type number.
Ole played very well as well. Like that's one thing that's underscored. I think their synergy was way off at the start of the split. Just looking at what they're doing in game, they looked completely on the same page.
Yeah.
Even when Doublelift was killing them, the total alignment.
I mean, his numbers are stellar and everything, but you have to assume, again, based on what Doublelift himself said here at the top of the day around the way that the team plays through him, that he's going to have to put up a similar performance if he wants to win the finals.
If you're going to pick Shen into Cho'Gath, which pretty much no one's doing right now, to protect your marksman, you better play well as the marksman player. So he showed that faith was well deserved.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it from us here at the desk as TL picks up the second semifinal win. Now it's time to toss over to Freak and his guest to close out the weekend on NALCS tonight.